Search for missing woman leads cops to secret coolers. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you are watching from in the comment. He said he started to choke her, and he said he choked her for 5 minutes, and I was like, how did you know that? And he's like, well, there's a clock right in front of me and I made her watch it. St. Joseph County Central Dispatch, Michigan receives a call on the evening of May 22nd, 2019 from a man claiming he knows the location of a missing woman's body. Did you see this firsthand, or he tell you this, or how? He told me about it and asked me if I wanted to see the body, and I said no. And when the cops respond to the address, what they find is worse than they could have imagined. Yep, those are legs. Now, remember when we open this is something that we're never going to be able to unsee. The missing woman is 42-year-old Kelly Jean Warner, a mother and a grandmother with an interest in nature and climate justice. No one's heard from her for weeks. Do you mind if we come and make sure she's not here? I can tell you she's not. And the truth of what happened to her is almost beyond believing. I'm dumbfounded by what people are capable of. He took a torch and went towards some of her body with chilling body cam footage. I saw some toes and an ankle and a collection of terrified witnesses. It's out there, man. He was just laughing about it, and he was bragging and laughing about it the whole time, which was the disturbing part. Yeah, he's definitely a freak for sure. I mean, you have a lot of detective shows, right? Sure. So tell you if you keep the body cold or something, they'll preserve it. Here on the decoder, this is the story of the murder of Kelly Jean Warner. The Sturgis Police Department responds to 209 North Maple Avenue at 11:12 p.m. that summer night. They know this is where Kelly Jean was last seen, and they know that the resident of the apartment might not cooperate with them. Well, I don't think he's going to be very cooperative with you. Okay, most people aren't. He does have some violent tendencies. So, all right, he takes a few minutes to answer the door. Hi, Wade. Hey, Wade. How you doing, man? Hey, how you doing? Doing good. I remember you from the Speedly Bear. What are you up to now? Not much. We're looking for Kimberly. Kelly or Kelly? Kelly. Kimberly or Kelly? KJ. KJ. Yeah. Nicknamed KJ. Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard from that person in some months. She hasn't been around a while. She doesn't. Do you know her? I haven't heard from her in a while. The last time I've seen her is couple months, and last I heard she's in Kazoo, and after that I haven't heard from her. Well, we just need to talk to her. Oh, well, do you mind if we come and make sure she's not here? I can tell you she's not. This is 35-year-old Wade Allen. He's had run-ins with the local police before, which means they're on their guard. Yeah, she isn't here. She hasn't been here in months. So, okay. All right. But do you want me to get a caseworker's number? Again, I have to look through my information stuff, and I can give you a caseworker's number. Okay. 'Cause I think her and I have the same one. Well, that's a possibility. You have any shoes handy real quick? Can you just throw some shoes on real quick? I could. Why do I need my shoes on? 'Cause like I said, you're going to be detained and we're going to get a search warrant. Okay. Well, you just want to walk in. That's it. Yeah. That's basically all we want to do is just verify. Our bosses want to make sure she's not here. So we want to do what we got to do for our job, and then we're out. And if she's here, we don't care. We could just say, hey, okay, if she's not here, one of you, then one of us is fine. Do you want to come in? I'll go and wait. Thank you. They can either come in now or they'll get a search warrant anyway and come in later. So he lets them in. It's not much, but I got my thin sunglasses here, but not much of anything. And then I got all this bedroom. You see, she's not here. I had her suitcase from when she was here. Just me. And if I do have a guest, I have a bed. You have a bed? Okay. But I don't have anyone here. Okay. And I just myself. What's in the cooler? Oh, that's for when the summer comes around. I'm gonna have parties and stuff. So, all right. No problem. Can you open that for me and then we'll get out of here? Well, not right now. I can't. I'm gonna save that for later. Okay. For when the summer gets here. So, but I showed you she hasn't been here in forever. WD's evasiveness is suspicious. All right. You want to open that cooler for me? Well, can you open the fridge for me? Make sure she's not hiding in there. There's no point in the fridge either. It's just food and stuff. I understand. No, all right. Why don't you throw your shoes on real quick? Well, I helped you out. I showed you. You did partially, but do you have shoes you can throw on real quick? A little bit. But here, I'll help you, Okay, I'll help you out. Go on out. Well, I got you're detained right now. Okay, I don't know her. I don't know anything about her. I don't know if she's hiding from the law or hiding from her family or what she's doing. So I don't think she was. I just want to verify. Okay, can I look in that cooler over there? That's kind of like I said later on in summer stuff, but I'm trying to keep my stuff kind of private, Well, that's fine. All I want to do is open it. Say, KJ, you in there? And then close it right back up and I'll get out of here. You'll be out of handcuffs and we'll be gone. Well, let's have a warrant for the rest of this and I'll just get the chain. Okay. They take him downstairs to wait for the warrant. But when he's in handcuffs, he changes his tune. Okay, I'm just kind of shook up right now. I'm in handcuffs and well, I understand it. All you had to do is say go ahead and look wherever you want to look and we see all sorts of crazy stuff. So, if there's I told you that's all we were looking for. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're not if there's anything illegal in there, we could care less. Okay, there isn't. So, okay, June 10th. Our job is just to try to find Kay. And if she's not there, we'll move on somewhere else. Finally, he agrees to let them look in the cooler. So, am I good to look around a little bit? Then we'll get you out of handcuffs and I will leave. Yeah, I'm good to check things out. All I'm concerned about is any closets or any coolers. Like I said, just in here you can watch. Okay, can I pop it open? Just take a peek. Well, yeah, if you want. Okay, why don't you step back for a second? Okay, what's in there? This stuff. Okay, all right, let's head out here. But my wallet's right there. Okay, I'll grab it. Head out here. 29. Yep, everything's good. I showed you everything. Yep, you're under arrest. Okay, the deputy can't believe what he's found in that cooler. It's beyond his worst nightmares and he immediately calls for backup. Jeff, hey, this is Wired. We've got the homicide located the body. We're getting crime task force getting ready and you probably want to come check us out. What? Got a homicide. Found a body in a cooler. Had consent to search a house. We finally got consent to go in after getting detained and, finally let me look in the cooler. In there, the cooler contains human body parts. A woman's torso naked and with the legs severed. Okay, now it stinks. Well, so there's a lot more evidence in here somewhere then. Yeah, now it does. I must have been holding my breath or something when I opened it. So, alright, did you check that cooler in the bedroom yet? Yeah. Tired. Open it up. Probably going to be the legs. Legs. This is the same smell. Sure enough, when they look inside it. Yep, those are legs. I saw some toes and an ankle. Did you guys notice that he's got a bunch of rubber gloves and stuff right there? They spend hours combing over the scene. So what I would like to determine is if he cut her up in the apartment. If he cut her up in the apartment, so you're talking a body. If he's going to dismember a body, you're going to have a large amount of blood inside of a very small apartment. Does it have carpet inside of there? Does it have hard floors? Is it a hardwood? Laminate, I think. Laminate. I think it's got carpet. They found a circular saw. Did you see what they're talking about? Is it I have not seen it? Oh, I mean, not reciprocating saw, not a circular saw. There's all your garbage bags and rope and scissors and like a sex actor or something hooker or what he says. Well, and what he was trying to tell them, I think, is she was already dead. They're also fairly sure that the caller was correct. These are the body parts of Kelly Jean Warner, who's not in Kalamazoo after all. She's right here in Wade's coolers. There's an ID right here. There's some glasses, probably a female stuff over there. Suitcase hers. There's a love note here. Huh? There's a note, is there? Yeah. Sam took pictures of all this stuff. It seems like they were friends, obviously. But how did she get there? WD's behavior makes it clear he had something to do with it. But the detectives can't take anything for granted. and they know this case might be more complicated than it appears. How close it is to how close he was to getting away with it. I know you did a great job, man. I wonder, I'm sure the time will tell. But one of the things I'm most interested in is find out when this actually happened. They take him into custody. What I need to do is anything in your pockets I need to put in the bags. You can have it back. Yeah, handcuffs suck. It's about 8:30 a.m. when the detectives sit him down in an interview room. And despite their horrifying discoveries, they start by building a rapport with him. We're going to have a chat with you real quick. Ah, can I get you anything else? You want me to fill your water bottle or a little bit? A little bit. I'll get you some water. Okay. We got some homemade cookies in there that are really good. You want a couple cookies? That's hard to pass on there. Yeah. And it gets Wade talking immediately, but not how the detectives might have expected. Didn't mean it. So I didn't want to know how she catched one moment like she was in a shower. We'll walk you through that. We'll get her all figured out. So my morning I just didn't know any way I present the situation without looking back on me. So the only thing I have to plan is to give her a proper burial somewhere. I don't know where. Gotcha. Well, we'll go over that. So he's acknowledging that he knew Kelly Jean had died, but not that she was murdered. I don't know a lot about procedures, but you know what his scenario? On the day I found her like that, if I had called it in, would there be a different outcome? They take him back to basics first. All right, and where do you reside at? 209 North Maple Street. 209 North Maple Street. Okay. And who? Apartment 2. Okay. And who do you live with there? I live by myself. Have you lived with someone there in the past? The only one I had lived with me for a while was Kelly Jean. We've been dating on and off for a couple years. What I would like to know from you is in your own words. What happened to Kelly Jean? I know she's been through a lot, and it was a lot. I know. It might take a little bit to describe, but there's a lot. Please take your time. I'll start with saying that she's hypoglycemic. Okay. All right. So her eating levels are important. She has to have a certain amount of sugars or whatever. MHM. I only bring that to attention because I know at one point while she was making the cereal, she fainted and really hurt her head. And it really concerned me because a little after that, I started seeing impairment issues, whether speech, memory, things like that. And I was concerned because I believe she left for a while, got into a really bad relationship, and then when she came back to me, there was just something. But yeah, there was that. And then I was trying to take care of her. I saw like a yellow thing forming in her eye at one point. Then that turned into a blood sac, and that became both eyes. When did you observe this, or when did you notice this issue with her eyes? This was within a week or two. All this is going to be only 2 weeks time period because it was about 2 weeks after that when I found her in the shower. All right, so she passed out, hit her head on the floor. Wade describes all these health issues Kelly Jean was having after an accident in the shower. Health issues he claims led to her death. But something isn't adding up. When she passed out and hit her head, did you guys go to a doctor or anything when you noticed the stuff in her eye, or maybe her motor skills were a little bit off or anything like that? Did you try to get some medical treatment for her? See what was going on? Anything like that? I didn't take her. No, I didn't know if she could move or get around. 2 weeks later, he helped her run a bath. I figured she'd be okay in a bathtub, just taking a bath, you know. So I started to water for her. I thought she'd be okay if she was laying down, not standing up. I wouldn't have to wash over. She wouldn't fall. Yeah, right. So when I see her in the morning, she wasn't breathing, and what really shocked me is when I saw her feet, and it means that she started with hot water, and I don't know, didn't have the strength to turn a knob, or I can't understand why she didn't turn it or adjust it, and I don't know if that was a cause death is this hot water, or if maybe she tried to get up and it fell or something. I don't know. I seriously do want to know what the cause of death was, because I really don't know. So, do we know approximately when this was, when you went back in the morning and found her in the bathtub and she wasn't breathing? 8 or 9? No, like what date? Like today is what? May 203. I don't know my dates. I know I was working at Speedway for a few weeks and she passed away during my time working there. Did you call 911? Did you call anybody at all? My parents, I didn't know I don't know how different it would have been. I mean, if I would have made a report like I've been through a lot of scenarios where I've been accused of a lot and I've been through a lot. So, I haven't been in a situation where I felt like I could a legitimate fear of injustice or a guilty conscience. I felt like no matter what I said or do, I was just going to be guilty. But I figured even no matter what, best I'll do is I wanted to give her a burial somewhere. She doesn't have any family. She doesn't have anything. And at least wherever I'll put her, I would visit her. I wouldn't want her to have nobody visit her, you know? MHM. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you guys would do with her now. But if I could know where she was buried, I'd like to go. She's in a bathtub. She's not breathing. What transpired from there? Well, it's not pretty. I'll tell you that seeing things that I can't let see, but okay. So, it took me a while to get some coolers. In the process of that, I would run cold water on her. Until I got some clues, because I was like, I mean, you have a lot of detective shows, right? You know, so tell you if you keep the body cold or something, maybe it'll preserve it. I don't know, maybe I'm ignorant in what I'm thinking, but that's TV, right, MHM? So I kept cold water running on her a lot. When you say that, you mean that she was still in the bathtub, I assume. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't move her at all for a long time. How long do you think a long time would be? 2 or 3 weeks? Like a portion of April? Couple times a day. Just maybe ice cold water. Yeah. I felt like it would help preserve IMHM. No, I'm sure it did. I've seen the whole decompensation process because I would come in. I would come in and check on her, and I know she's passed. I still talk to her. That's why he says he bought the coolers too, to preserve her. I wanted to put her all in one so she could be whole, and then I couldn't really move her in any kind of way to keep her whole. Nothing I could do to keep her remain cold. That's where it really got close. What happened at that one? Well, when I had to get the second cooler, I had to put a leg in that one. I'm not gonna lie, that was the grossest thing ever. And I guess helped me understand how she was in one and her legs were in another. I had to cut her leg. Okay. When you say that, you mean that her body was too big for the first cooler. So you couldn't fit her in the first cooler. And was she too stiff to be able to move her around to put her in the cooler? If I could move her, I would have had her like these up to her chest or something. But you couldn't. Okay. So you say you cut her legs. Where did you cut her? What is that? This is the most disgusting thing ever. Hopefully you never have to see something like this in your life. Ever. Alright. So here. And then here. I started here, but then I realized her knees were still over the edge. MHM. So I had to go here too. Okay. And how did you cut her legs? I used a saw. He bought the saw on his credit card on April 17th, which gives the detectives a timeline to work with. Okay. Where were you planning on putting her? I don't have a place and didn't have a place yet. I mean, as I travel around countryside, I could look around and say, okay, that could be where that could be. But the only thing I thought in my mind would be like a lake with a hill or something. At least she'll have some wildlife or something. After dismembering Kelly Jean's body, Wade wanted to find her a nice resting place. But the detectives restrained their disbelief for now because they've got a trump card. And it's that call that tipped them off in the first place. I only had one friend which probably made the call, and I'm not going to be upset with him. He probably got to a point where his conscience got to him too. But that happens to people. I mean, especially when you're talking about something like someone passing away. So who is your friend that you talked to about? Stephen Rush. Stephen is the man who directed the cops to that apartment last night, and he had a lot to tell them. He just asked you if you wanted to see the dead body. Yeah. Okay. He was trying to get me to help him to where he can go bury the body, and we told him that we wasn't going to do that. And do you know who the person is? Yeah. Her name is Kelly Jean Warner. Do you know? We had an off and on relationship for a couple years. And as far as I know, she was just staying with him after he got the place. Okay. And from what he said, she got kind of mouthy with him. He backhanded her and accidentally killed her, and he had her in the bathtub for a little while, and then he wound up chopping her up and putting her in the corners. According to him, Kelly Jean didn't just die. Wade murdered her. So wait, I want you just to remind you that we have spoken to Stephen. Okay. So, we've been 100% honest with each other up until this point. So, I want to make sure that we continue to be honest there. If there's something, that we've talked about that's not really 100% honest, now would be, the time to say, okay, I think I might have said this, but I really meant that. That way, we're all telling each other the truth. I told him about that cutting process. Okay. What did you tell him happened to Kelly? I think I told him that she fell down. Did you tell him that you backhanded her and something happened and she passed away? Backhanded her. No. If you said that, then I'm a little bit upset because that's not true. So, an autopsy will be performed on Kelly, and what they will do is they will go through, all medical conditions, everything that transpired. They'll be able to tell us what her exact cause of death was. And I just want to make sure that, you're telling me she was in a bathtub, you woke up, she wasn't breathing, the water was above her airways, and then we get to the medical examiner's office and they say she's got water in her lungs, but that's not what caused her death. So, ever since that first fall, I've been worried, like I said, with the balance being okay. My fear is that she might have tried to got up and might have slipped back down. Okay. Despite Stephen's witness statement, Wade continues to deny it. The fear that I have from police in general comes from when I was accused of a situation. And this is in my report file, so we can look up. But at like 2:30 something in the morning, I wake up to a squad of I was in an abandoned factory and they bust down through the door and they had all their guns drawn on me. And when they interviewed her the second time, you'll see in the report she confessed to making the story up. Was that Kelly or was that somebody else? That was someone else. Okay. Other than that, have you ever been in trouble for anything else? Or most of the time I've been homeless for 15 years. Has it really been 15 years? This is my first time having a home. Wow, gotcha. I never had keys to my own apartment until now. So, a lot of my cases have always been trespassing, abandoned houses. Gotcha. Okay. Any kind of domestic violence or anything crazy like that? The domestic things in the past have been dismissed in court because like before when okay with Kelly Jean for example, alright I kicked her in the butt because I was ashamed of her cheating on me and such I shouldn't have but I did and then come to find out in court she tried to blame these bruises of her ankles on me. I said I had nothing to do with her ankles? That's false evidence. Turns out Wade has a history of hurting Kelly Jean. Well, she did leave for a while. And then she did come back, but remember that the idea of us talking is being honest. Yeah. She came back with a lot of marks and bruises on her. Okay. I don't know who he is. She won't tell me that. Part of what you just told me is absolutely true and part of what you told me is not true. Her coming back with marks and bruises. Yeah. So, how angry were you with her for leaving and then coming back? No. I love her. I know you do. I know. To the point where she's going to be with you and no one else. This detective playing bad cop exits the room, leaving Wade with the other detective who tries to appeal to his emotions. Not to bring up bad memories or bad thoughts, but it sounds like Kelly was suffering pretty bad. I might have only seen her cry maybe 4 times. Okay, what caused her to cry? 2 times was pain-related. Like where she got hurt. She cried. How'd she get hurt? Did she cut herself bad, or was it broken bone, or just I don't even want to really talk about that. I just know that that's the only time I've ever seen her cry. Twice out of pain. Okay. And twice when I left her alone. You don't want to talk about it cause did you cause the pain to her and you can be honest with anybody. It's all about getting everything off your chest. When I left her alone, I know when she cried being alone, I caused that emotional pain, physical pain. I don't think me causing her physical pain caused her to cry. I think maybe it was a little physical pain from you. It might have been, but it's only been twice I've ever seen her cry for she doesn't cry very often. Yeah, she's tough. And she doesn't yell or scream. She don't yell or scream. She is tough though. Yeah. Why would she have cried from a physical pain from you? Do you guys get an argument or something? And it's just I don't want to talk about that part like it's important to get it off your chest. I don't like the fact that I caused her pain. I understand that. Inch by inch, Wade begins to admit that he might have hurt Kelly Jean. And that's what we're trying to figure out. That's what we need to know. How she actually passed away. Whether that was from physical touch from you, whether you felt bad for her and wanted to put her out of her misery so she wasn't suffering anymore, or the only thing I did is had her in a tub. I remember having the water turn on for physically I was asleep and I woke up finding her I didn't do any harm to her other than that water as far as her cause of death. Okay, there was no anger moments, or maybe when she returned home, maybe before that we might have had some whatever, but it was not her cause of death. You know what I mean? It's not we would rather find out from you telling us if you knew how she died rather than finding out from the autopsy, right? Well, I'm telling you that night, that's how that night went. Any other marks on her that could have been scuffled between her and I? Okay, but as far as why and how she died, I'm telling you the absolute truth. What when we do the autopsy, what marks are we going to find that was from scuffles between the two of you? Like her lips might be messed up, or why would her lips be messed up? Did it start when she came home after she came home from that guy and you were upset, or where did the physical stuff start between the two of you? Years sometimes, but I am willing to let her go and she can love whoever she wants and be with whoever she wants. Just let me ask you this, and I'm going to give you a quick opportunity to tell me, when is the last time you guys got physical together? I mean, when's the last time you guys, when things got a little heated, where she would have got bruised up, or you would have got bruised up, or it might have been when she got back. But I'm telling you it had nothing to do with how she went. I don't think it does either. I'm telling you. Wade refuses to tell any other story, and the officers take him back to his holding cell, where he tells them something interesting without the cameras rolling. He says, "As far as smacking her, the only thing I use on her anymore is the belt. When you look at her, you will find belt marks on her back and neck. But that didn't cause her death." He's openly admitting to abusing Kelly Jean, and that's just the start of it. The detectives track down his friend Steven the next day, who also goes by Ryan, and he tells a very different story to Wade. So when I was interviewing him yesterday, your name was almost the first thing out of his mouth. "Oh, I know why you guys came here." "Really? What was that?" "Oh, Steve, how do you know Wade Allen?" "I've known Wade for almost 10 years. That's pretty much how long I've been here in Michigan. He was one of the first two people that I met whenever I came here, and we became instant best friends." Would you consider yourself best friends now?" Not really. Not really. Steve and Wade were homeless together for a while, but they grew apart. So, the whole case came to light when we Central Dispatch got a call regarding Wade and KJ. Do you know about that call? Yes, I did. Did you place that call to Central Dispatch? Yes, I did. And what was that call in reference to? My family was getting very scared of him, and it was to the point that they couldn't even sleep. So I had to do something. Okay. And why is it that they were getting scared of him and couldn't sleep? He kept making comments about killing and cutting up our friends. Wade did. Yes. Have you ever heard Wade make a statement about killing and cutting up KJ? Yeah. Well, do you remember how long ago that was? It's probably been about a month. He came to me one night on Facebook saying that he was really scared and that he had done something stupid and not needed someone to talk to. He said that he had hit KJ as he's done numerous times, but this time she hit her head on the fireplace. The manner piece of it, and that she had stayed like that for a couple days, and he knew she was alive but she wouldn't eat or nothing like that. He said that he took a torch and would torch some of her body. He wanted us to help him move the body with the car, and we both told him no, that we can't do that. And I was like, you're one of my closest friends and I'll keep your secret for you, but obviously I couldn't. Wade wasn't trying to find a suitable resting place for Kelly Jean. Lake for the hill or something. At least you'll have some wildlife or something. He was trying to escape detection, and he wanted Steve to help him. Do you have to say what they were fighting about? No, he never does. They've got into several fights that I know of. One of them actually led to a court battle, and she brought up a fall and blamed it on him. So they threw the case out. So I don't really know. And he told you that he had cut her up and put her in the cooler. In the bathtub. That way it might rain. Where did he say he cut her up at? The bathtub. Said he cut her in the bathtub. Yeah. He said told that his neighbors that he was going to be cutting some wood and stuff, so I don't know. Would you consider him controlling of her? Yes. He'd tell her to go to the store, and if she couldn't find her way to the store, then he would tell her how stupid she was and send her back. This is a far more compelling explanation for Kelly Jean's death than WDE's convoluted story. A pattern of control and abuse escalated until he hit her so hard it caused brain damage. And instead of calling 911, he tortured her and let her die in the bathtub before mutilating her body. And a whole series of witnesses corroborate this version of events. Another friend of Wade's, a man named Bill, says Wade tried to trade him a reciprocating saw on May 21st. Would you say that he was insisting that you take the saw? pretty much. Yes, he was insistent. Yeah. 'Cause I even said no. Not right now. And was he persistent about it? Yeah. Did you notice anything about the saw that was weird, different? Not until I heard that all went down, and then I held the baggie up to light, 'cause my electricity is off the power. The storm took the power out. Happened to be looking at you can see serration there, like a chunk of something in there. He was trying to dispose of the evidence. The detectives locate WD's ex Katie. She says he once threatened to break her arm. He ever talked to you about him hurting other people, almost like a bragging kind of I did this to this person or this to them. Told me that he had a problem with women before, like he was violent towards women before. Somehow that didn't scare me. I don't know why. And most chilling of all are the stories Wade's cellmates have to tell. According to them, he's been bragging. Basically, he was all talking about how she wouldn't eat, and that he was beating her with his hands and she hit her head, and she was on the floor, never woke up. I guess he said that she was in a coma of some sort, that he had to put her in the bathtub, turn the hot water on full, and thought that she'd wake up herself and just left her in there to scald the surface out of her. That he quit beating her with his hands and started using a belt to beat her in her back and stuff, trying to wake her up and everything. There became an incident where at one point he ended up backhanding her, and after him backhanding her, she told him supposedly that he was going to go to jail for that. And then Wade started tying her up and keeping her to where she couldn't go anywhere. And he said once she got to be submitted to that, where she would just let him do it without having to fight him. That's when he started taking the torch and burning her. So Wade Allen told this to you, like you and I sitting down. They were it was all four of us, but Chris was reading through his police report and, they were laughing and cutting up and just not making jokes about it, but I sat down there and he told me, about this white ribbon, and he took a white ribbon and her head was in his lap and he put it around her neck and he said, "At least you're gonna die by somebody that loves you." And he said he started to choke her, and he said he choked her for 5 minutes. I said, and I was like, "How did you know that?" And he's like, "Well, there's a clock right in front of me, and I made her watch it." And he's like, "I choked her for five or so minutes." And he said he didn't know if it killed her, but he had to smack her to get her to come back. And I guess she never actually came back. She came back when she wasn't there. Wade deprived Kelly Jean's brain of oxygen for long enough to cause irreversible brain damage. It was no accident, and the medical examiner agrees. They record a finding of homicide by unspecified means. Whether Kelly Jean was hit over the head or strangled to later drown, it's clear that Wade killed her. He was bragging and laughing about it the whole time, which was the disturbing part. It's out there, man. He's just laughing about it, and he can talk about it like it's nothing to it. I mean, he jokes about it. I think he's sick and he needs help, dude. And I don't think this is the first person did this with, why would you say that? I just get this feeling, you know what I mean? Is it something that he said, or yeah, pretty much. You get both how he says that he stays all over and stuff. You know what I mean? It's kind of odd. No other victims are discovered, but the dispassionate way Wade disposed of her body and the way he bragged about it afterwards means that even if he hasn't killed in the past, he might well have done so in the future. Thankfully, he was stopped in time, but it was too late for Kelly Jean. When Wade learns that his cellmates snitched on him, he sexually assaults one of them. This is added to the counts against him, and he tries to have the murder charges dismissed based on how the cops conducted the search, putting him in cuffs and threatening to detain him if he did not let them in. But the court overrules his motion. The day before his trial is due to start in January 2023. He pleads no contest to second-degree homicide, attempted dismemberment and mutilation, and attempted third-degree criminal sexual conduct. He will serve a minimum of 44 years in prison. And he has still not admitted what he did, saying at his sentencing hearing, "I ask the family to please forgive me. They don't have to, but with or without their forgiveness, I have to forgive myself. But according to everyone who knows him, he doesn't deserve such forgiveness." The story should have ended there. But it didn't, because what detectives thought they understood was only the surface. When crime scene analysts returned to the apartment the next morning, something felt off. Too clean. Way too clean. You don't dismember a body in a small apartment without leaving a mess. Blood, tissue, trace evidence. But here, Almost nothing. And that's when investigators realized something chilling. This wasn't panic. This was methodical. One detective walked slowly across the laminate floor that he stopped, knelt down, ran a gloved finger across the surface, then looked up. There's been cleaning. Not casual cleaning. Not wiping a counter. Deep cleaning. Aggressive. Intentional. Someone had tried to erase what happened in that room. And that changed everything. Because now, this wasn't just about what happened to Kelly Jean Warner. It was about how far Wade Allen went to hide it. Investigators brought in forensic lights. The kind that reveals what the eye can't see. They shut off the apartment lights, turned on the blue glow, and instantly, the truth lit up the room. Spots, smears, patterns, blood, everywhere. Even after all that cleaning, it was still there, on the floor, near the bathroom, along the baseboards, and worst of all, in places you wouldn't expect, behind furniture, under objects, meaning one thing, this wasn't contained. It was violent. One investigator whispered, "This didn't happen in one moment. This happened over time." And that matched what witnesses had been saying. Kelly didn't die instantly. She suffered. For days, maybe longer. And Wade, he didn't call for help. He didn't stop it. He stayed. He watched. And then he cleaned. Not to fix anything, but to hide it. The deeper investigators looked, the worse it got. Because cleaning doesn't erase everything. It just hides it. Until someone knows where to look. And they knew exactly where to look. Forensic teams scanned every inch of the apartment. Bathroom, bedroom, kitchen. Nothing was ignored. And slowly, a pattern formed. The bathroom wasn't just part of the scene. It was the center of it. Everything pointed back there. The smell, the residue, the damage, and then the drain. Inside it, they found microscopic traces. Human tissue, not visible to the naked eye, but undeniable. And then came something even more disturbing. Burn marks, not random, not accidental, controlled, repeated, deliberate. Investigators didn't say it out loud at first, but they were all thinking the same thing. This wasn't just neglect. This wasn't just panic after death. This was prolonged, intentional, cruel. One detective stepped out of the bathroom, shaking his head slowly. "That room tells a story," he said, "and it's not the one he told us. Because Wade's version, it didn't match anything they were seeing. Not the timeline, not the evidence, not the damage, and definitely not the suffering. This wasn't someone who found a body and didn't know what to do. This was someone who stayed and let it happen, then tried to erase it. But the apartment wouldn't let him. Because even when you clean everything, you can't clean the truth." Then came the digital evidence. And this is where everything started to collapse. Because people can lie. But data remembers everything. Investigators pulled Wade's phone records, his laptop, his search history, and what they found changed the case completely. Search after search, question after question. How long does it take for a body to decompose? Can cold water preserve a dead body? How to get rid of a body smell? How to clean blood from floors? One detective leaned back in his chair, staring at the screen. "He knew," he said quietly. He knew exactly what he was doing. And then came the timestamps. That's what sealed it. Because these searches weren't made before everything happened. They were made after. After Kelly was already dead. After the damage was done. After there was no going back. Meaning this wasn't confusion. This wasn't fear. This was adaptation. He was learning in real time, adjusting, improving his cover-up, trying to stay one step ahead. But every search left a trail. Every question told a story, and together, they painted a picture Wade couldn't escape from. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't ignorance. This was awareness. And once investigators saw that, everything changed. Now the focus shifted. Not just what happened, but who Wade Allen really was. Because crimes like this don't come out of nowhere. They build, slowly, quietly, until one day, they explode. Neighbors described him as quiet, reserved, a little strange, maybe, but nothing alarming, nothing that would make you think. This, but behind closed doors, completely different story, controlling behavior, jealousy, isolation, and then a violence, not all at once, but in steps, small at first, then bigger, then worse. Experts later looked at the pattern, and it was familiar, too familiar, because this wasn't unique. It was a textbook escalation, control, abuse, dominance, and eventually total loss of restraint. One expert later said, "This wasn't a moment, this was a process." And Kelly was trapped inside it. Because people don't always leave. Not because they don't want to, but because they can't. Emotionally, financially, physically. And by the time it becomes dangerous, it's often already too late. And in the middle of all this, there's someone we can't forget. Kelly Jean Warner. She wasn't just a victim. She was a person, a mother, a grandmother, someone who cared about the world around her. Friends say she loved nature. She talked about climate justice. She believed in doing good, in making things better. But like many people, her life wasn't perfect. There were struggles, relationships that didn't work, moments of instability, times where she needed support. And somehow, those moments led her into Wade's life, a place that seemed safe at first, but slowly became something else, something controlling, something dangerous, something she couldn't escape. And that's what makes this story hit harder. Because Kelly didn't just disappear. She was taken piece by piece. Her freedom, her safety, and eventually, her life. And in the end, this entire case came down to one moment. One decision. One phone call. If Stephen hadn't spoken up, what happens next? Think about it. Wade already had a plan forming. He had tools. He had time. He had control of the situation. He was close, very close, to getting away with it. One investigator later admitted, "Another week, and we might not have found her." That's how close this came to becoming a mystery. No body, no answers, just a missing person, lost forever. And when the case finally reached court, people expected the truth. They expected answers, closure. But Wade, he stayed quiet, detached, cold. He never fully explained what happened, never gave a real reason, never showed real remorse. And sometimes, that silence is worse than any confession, because it leaves questions behind, questions that never get answered. And that's what makes this case so disturbing. Not just what happened, but how close it came to never being discovered at all. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think this was planned from the start? Or something that spiraled out of control? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more real stories like this, make sure you subscribe, because the next one might be even harder to believe. Stay safe. But even after the sentence was handed down, the story didn't end. Because cases like this don't just disappear when the courtroom doors close. They linger in the minds of investigators, in the lives of families, and in the questions that never get answered. One of the biggest questions still remains. What really happened in those final moments? Not the version Wade told, not the version witnesses heard, but the truth. Because somewhere between the lies and the evidence is a reality we may never fully know. Did she try to fight back? Did she realize what was happening? Did she think she was going to survive? Those are the kinds of questions that haunt cases like this. Because they don't just describe a crime, they describe fear, pain, and the last moments of someone's life. And for Kelly, those moments weren't quick. They weren't sudden. They stretched out, over time, which makes it even harder to process. Because it means there were chances, moments where things could have changed, moments where help could have been called, moments where this could have stopped. But it didn't, and that's what separates accidents from something far more disturbing. Choice. Every step of the way, There were choices, and every time, the wrong one was made. Investigators who worked the case later spoke about something unusual. Not just the violence, not just the evidence, but Wade's behavior, the calmness, the lack of urgency, even when he was caught, didn't match what you'd expect. There was no panic, no breakdown, no real emotion, just acceptance, like he had already come to terms with everything. And that kind of mindset, it unsettled even the most experienced officers, because it suggests something deeper, something harder to explain. Not just anger, not just control, but detachment, the ability to disconnect from what he had done, to talk about it as if it were just another story. And that's what made his cellmate's statements so chilling, because according to them, he didn't just talk about it, he revisited it, over and over again, like it was something he couldn't let go of, or worse, something he didn't want to let go of. One inmate later said, it was like he was proud of parts of it, and that's a level of darkness that's hard to understand. But maybe the most disturbing part of all is how close this came to continuing, because if Wade hadn't been caught, what happens next? Does he stop, or does it escalate again? History gives us a clue. Patterns like this don't just disappear, they grow, they evolve, and without intervention, they often repeat, which means this case might not have been the end of something, it might have been the beginning, and that's a terrifying thought, because it reminds us of something uncomfortable. Danger doesn't always look like danger. Sometimes, it looks ordinary, quiet, unremarkable, until it isn't. And by the time the truth is revealed, it's already too late. But there's one thing that changed everything in this case. One thing that made the difference. Someone spoke up. That phone call. That moment of doubt. That decision to say something instead of staying silent. It saved this case from becoming a mystery. And that matters, because in so many cases, silence is what allows things to continue. It's what gives people time, space, opportunity. But this time, someone broke that silence. And because of that, Kelly was found, the truth came out, and Wade was stopped. It doesn't undo what happened. It doesn't bring her back. But it matters. And maybe that's the hardest part of stories like this. There's no perfect ending. No real closure, just understanding, awareness, and the hope that something like this can be prevented in the future. So as you think about this case, remember this: the warning signs are often there. The behavior, the control, the escalation, they don't start big, they start small, and they grow, until one day, they become something irreversible. So the real question isn't just, what happened? Could it have been stopped? And more importantly, what do we do when we see the signs? Because recognizing them might be the difference between a story like this and a story that never happens at all. If you made it this far, you already know this case isn't easy to hear, but it's important, because real stories like this, they stay with you, and sometimes they change how you see the world. If you want more deep, real, and disturbing cases like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next story might be even more shocking. Stay aware, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, the U.S. National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7, 365 days a year. Call 1-800-799-SAFE-7233 or visit thehotline.org. What do you think about this horrifying story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we will see you very soon on the Crime Uncovered channel. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.